Hi everyone and welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Flynn and I'm joined by the fantastic Rames Harikrishnasamy. We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are streaming from today and would like to pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Ramesh, how are you doing? How have you been since Tuesday when we did part one of this stream?
I was like busy. Like I
Yeah.
said, right, busy is good, and I am super excited for today because I just can't wait to finish it off.
You want it to be done. You want it to be over.
Yeah, I can't wait to show people the end result. So yeah.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Yeah, I was saying that in a cynical way. But yeah, it's always fun hanging out with you. Always learn so much when we're in Photoshop and your expertise in there. So I'm really looking forward to this part as well. We'll get started in a second. Just to let you know, if you're watching over on Twitter, over on YouTube, the main chat that we'll be using today is at behance.net/live. So jump on over there, say hello. It's always great to hear from you. And if you have any questions while we're going along, I'll have a lot of my own questions, of course. But if you have any questions, then throw them in chat and we'll answer them. We had some great questions on Tuesday. And so if you have any at all about photo manipulation, being an artist, the million things that Ramesh does, who also speaks 5 languages, by the way, which I just learnt before the stream. We will be streaming in English, though, because that's the only language I understand. Let's bring this up. If you missed last week's stream or this week's stream, hey, it is Year of the Tiger. Very exciting time of year. And yeah, Year of the Tiger. Let's be brave. Let's be fearless. I think we all need it. And if you are in some of these Asia Pacific countries that are at this page, which there's a link down the bottom in YouTube if you're watching this on demand, and in Behance if you're watching it live, and you can enter that competition. You can win a 1-year Creative Cloud subscription, and also $1,000. So there you go. You can spend that on whatever you like. Maybe you can buy a new Wacom, which we'll be chatting about a little bit later, Ramesh. And yeah, so check that out. And if you're outside of those countries, you can still kind of use a hashtag, create something tiger themed, and get involved and, flex your artistic muscles. And we have fantastic artists on last week, this week, and next week to kind of inspire you as well in a couple of different fields, which is what we're going to get into now, without further ado. So should we do a bit of a recap for those that missed Tuesday's stream? This is a photo manipulation. There's a story behind it. I'll hand it over to you to take over from here.
Okay, thank you. So, like I said, right, last week, before I start, again, I don't usually do this because I do this at the back of my head. The reason why I'm doing a simple sketch before I start is just to give you guys a picture of what am I going to create. So, literally, it's about tiger, spring into fearless. So, as you can see, the tiger is over here. And then we have a character called Mei-Ling, which we're going to add today. We're going to reveal from the back part. And then she also have a basket full of mandarin oranges. And we have a bit of bamboo trees over here. And then we have like a Chinese lantern hanging on top. So imagine all this, if you were to transform this into a photo manipulation, it will probably look like this. So this is what we're going to do today. Today we're going to literally create the characters by adding a new character, which is Mei-Ling. But then I am gonna quickly do this as well. Like I'm gonna turn off all my layers, which I like to do to show you guys why is it so important to create all the shadows and everything, because it's super important to make a very realistic looking photo manipulation. You can see all the different parts of stock images, blue, and then we also, so that's the original color, and everything else is just a very basic photos. But then by using different elements of features of Photoshop, like blending, color mode, color lookup, shadows and highlights and everything, you literally create a brand new photo. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think I said at the end of Tuesday's stream, so many different techniques that you'll use, for the edge, and we also discussed kind of the difference between how you would add the light to hit the edge of the rock that the subject is standing on, compared to what techniques you'll use along the top of the tiger, because you want it to kind of pop out. And so super interesting. So if anyone wants a deep in-depth guide into how this was all created from scratch, that was Tuesday's stream. Check it out, and there'll be more to come today.
Cool. So now we're going to introduce Mei-Ling. This is Mei-Ling. Okay, so mailing is a Chinese goal. These are things I love to do, right? So if you look at my photo manipulation on my Instagram, all that, they are all transformed from a baby to goddesses and all that. They are all done in like tons of like alterations. So this is stuff that I'm gonna do today as well, like transform, like in terms of I'm gonna change the hair color. I'm gonna also do a bit of coloring onto a top so that it's turned to a red color, because I think the red pop-ups more with the red lantern, so it would be nice to have that kind of color combinations. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to now quickly click on select subject, and let's see if everything is not selected, because I want to place it right at the bottom, because based on my sketch, if you look at here, she's sitting right at the bottom over here. So,
Right.
yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to just mask her and then resize her. Put it right at the bottom. Again, it took me a while to find the right composition. Like
I was
said,
about to ask, that kind of because that fits so well for the composition with the rocks, right? Like in the scale and everything. So yeah, I suppose you could spend quite a lot of time trying to find the best piece of stock, or the best best image you can.
There are times where I couldn't find the right one, and I'll do a lot of like alteration, which I'm going to show you one example in a while. So that's okay. So as you can see here, being realistic, right? The tiger is looking at her, but then if you look at the head posture, she's looking towards the feet. So this is not right. We will fix that later, okay? Or maybe fix it now itself. What I'm going to do is in order to do that, I will quickly go to the layer, and I'm gonna right click, and I'm gonna just quickly transform that to a smart object, because I am going to use a puppet rock, which I love to use back then when I did the I think it's the owl carrying the chain. I'm not sure if you remember that.
Yes, that's right. A previous stream from last year. That's right. So the puppet warp tool came out and came in super handy, and so cool. We're gonna see it again. Great.
Yeah. So basically, I'm gonna put in all these pins to indicate that what are the parts that I don't want her to move. Like for example, I want her a leg, a feet, a body, and everything to be just where it is, and I just want her to look up. So in order to do that, I will put one more pin onto her head, and I will just move up like this. Cool. In that way, she's like just looking straight into the eyes of the tiger, because without this, she's not looking up. So I'm gonna force her to look up. So that's that. We're gonna do the color edits in a bit, but before that, I also want to bring in also another important stock image, which is the Mandarin orange itself.
The Mandarin orange, yes. And would you mind like reiterating the story? So you always have a story with your compositions and your artwork. So maybe for those that missed it, maybe we'll give them a quick version of the story. Which I tried to tell my daughter, by the way. I know this is ridiculous, but tell her a story every night. I tried to tell the story, and she was really not interested. She just thought the tiger was cool. She's like, "Oh, tiger, cool." That was it. I tried.
Okay, sure. So this is about Mei-Ling and bedtime stories. Like for example, Mei-Ling's mom, who likes to tell stories, the same story she will tell every time Chinese New Year is approaching. It's about the tiger that used to help kill all the bad forces in the village. It's literally like a myth. Again, kids, when you tell kids about myths, they probably won't know. They will just trust the story, and they feel like it's real. Again, the moral of the story is that, if you really truly believe in something, it can be real. Which I believe in terms of like, if I imagine something, Photoshop literally transform it. So I believe there's a better force than this, like in terms of like things that people can imagine and it become real. So that's the moral of the story. I want it to reflect into this as well. And as you can see, Mei-Ling trusts what a mother was saying for past many years, and now she's ready to bring the Mandarin orange. The reason why Mandarin orange is that the villagers like to offer Mandarin orange to the tiger so that it increases the color of the tiger as well, because it's the same orange.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
So that's the story. So yeah. It's always fun to create a story back of your head and do the manipulation, because you literally making it real, rather than just for the sake of like put a tiger there, put one guy over there, but then there's never a story. Then it's just an artwork. people will appreciate more if there's a story. So yeah.
Yeah, and does that make it easy for you to like decide on where the elements are going to go and the relationship and things because you're trying to generate a story in your own mind?
Yeah, it helps me a lot, and it gives, because when I create something, I put my emotion in it. Like I truly feel when I create my manipulation, especially my artwork that I've been doing for my Instagram. When I do it, I enjoyed it. I there are times where I teared because, again, based on the feedback that I get, they say that this is absolutely beautiful. Thank you for creating this. So there's a meaning behind it, and
Yeah.
when an artwork has a meaning behind it, it adds up to the value of it as well. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here, what you guys are looking at right now is I have selected the Mandarin orange. So there's always an issue with shadows and all that. Like, people keep asking me, how do you create all these fake shadows and all that? And as you can see, there's already a shadow at the bottom of this Mandarin orange basket. As you guys can also see, I duplicated two. One is at the top, one is at the bottom. At the bottom, do change it from normal to multiply. You'll see the magic in a while. And you go back up into the stock image of the basket that I just copied, and then you can just mask it. Let's see what happened. Okay, I just mask it down here. Ta-da! Okay, even though the shadow is not there, but if you move it right to the bottom, it will maintain the shadow. Reason is because at the bottom of the stock image, I changed the normal to multiply. When you do that, it takes away all the white patches, and it maintains the shadow, which will be really helpful for me later on, so that I don't have to keep adding shadows, and I can use what's already there.
That's great. So you don't have to manually add the shadow in. So you just duplicated it and put it onto
and
multiply.
I changed to multiply.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put this here, and I want to do a bit of cleaning in for the oranges. So I'm gonna go in because there's still a white patches all around. I'm gonna go in here and change my brush to something smaller. And I love editing, like the detailed part of everything, is because I truly believe, like I said earlier, if you literally make sure that all these little stains all around the object is cleaner and everything, you literally will, people will usually question if it's real or is this a manipulation again. And I would love people giving that kind of feedback. It shows that I'm improvising. Yeah,
that's like a big compliment if someone sort of says, is this real, or is it a photo manipulation? I've got a bit of a question about scaling. So that image that you brought in, the oranges, is obviously very high resolution. You have to work with high resolution images to do something like this. And then you scale it. You scaled it all the way down first before you really started editing. Is that the process that you'll typically do? You'll get everything to the scale and composition level that you want, and then go in and edit? Because the reason I'm asking is because there's almost a temptation to have it as big as possible, and then so you can edit with lots and lots and lots of detail, and then shrinking it down. So yeah, do you ever edit it when it's big and bring it down, or is it just a lot faster, by shrinking it first?
Yeah, I usually see where I want to position that particular stock image, because I know it will be really small, and I want to make sure that the ratio is right. Like, for example, even when I resizing and everything, again, there's no right or wrong, but I enjoy resizing them to an actual size and then edit them. I think it's a personal preference thing, but you're right as well. I can even blow it up and then make sure that I select subject, everything, and then clear out all the edges and then resize. But it's a personal preference, like I said. I like to see it on the small, because I want it to look like zoom out and see if it's actually the right size. So for example, when I position the Mandarin orange beside her, back of my head, I try to also imagine what if her hand goes to the orange and take one. And is the size of the orange make sense? So yeah.
Right, yeah.
Even Mandarin orange, there's two sizes. There are small ones and there's a big one. So yeah.
Very cool.
Okay, so that's that. I'm gonna just put it there before I edit more shadows and everything. I'm gonna also share something in terms of like lighting. I remember back on Tuesday, there are people asking, how do you come up with these colors and everything? Again, like I said, back on my head, I already seen these colors. Like in terms of experience, I go out, I take pictures, I know this is how the color's gonna be. Or you guys can look for reference. So I'm gonna show you guys one reference that I got from the internet. So this is something that I'm trying to achieve. So it's a bit dark, but it's okay. As you can see, the background is always brighter than the foreground because of the light that's all around it, right? So you guys can see how the red light that's coming out from the Chinese lantern reflecting on the subjects all around it, all these little red marks. So this is what I'm trying to achieve. Let me just brighten this up by just making it to a screen. So you go. You see how, so I'm going to achieve this. So this is something I have at the back of my mind, which I'm going to try to achieve it today. Let's see if it's possible. Obviously it's possible because everything is possible. Okay, so let me just go in and edit this basket first. Let's call this basket. Then I have the toggle. I'm gonna just make it a group because I have a few things to edit. Mailing. Okay, first thing first, mailing. I am going to create colored edit to her by creating a new layer on top, and I call this red color. And let's change the outfit of hers. I'm gonna color pick again. My favorite part of my Photoshop is that I have everything at the side, so I don't have to go in and look for like where's the color wheel, where's the color swatches, because I need to be able to go in and grab the color that I want and then edit. And in order to create this, also there's so many questions that I get. If yours is something like this, you want to go in here and change to color wheel. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we had comments on in previous streams, sort of people like, "What's that? Where did you get that like particular color thing from? Is it a plugin?" But yeah, no, it's just right there.
Okay, so I am now going in and change. Again, I'm using a blending mode of multiply. I might change it later to see which one works well. While I'm going down, I get to see all the different combos of colors. Oh, the heart vivid looks good. Maybe I'll maintain this. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to color the part of her dress, the jacket, and leave the hair because I'm going to change the hair color as well. So yeah. Again, I am manually doing this. Manual work sometimes is fun. Go in here.
And do you have a clipping mask on while you're doing this so that you don't go outside the lines? Yeah,
exactly. So right above my layer of the girl, I actually made a new layer and I did a clipping mask so that the colors are within her dress and it's not leaking out. And if you can see why is my pressure is very smooth is because, again, I said this earlier in the chat with Flynn, is that I'm using Wacom. I'm trying to be again, I'm trying to learn in terms of like a pressure sensitive and all that. I've been using trackpad for the longest time. The reason why I avoid Wacom back then is because when I travel, it's very hard to carry another device.
Yeah.
And the best part is now that I'm working from home, I get to use the Wacom, and I have to say it's like a life-changing thing. It's because I can precisely control the pressure. Unlike mouse, mouse is just yes, no, like literally one pressure, and either you undo the pressure.
Right.
So in like Wacom, literally there's a pressure on the mat, so you know how intense you're trying to press. So yeah, it's so good.
Nice. That's interesting. So do you think that you wish you got a Wacom like a little bit earlier, or is it like
yes,
because there's a little bit less travel happening at the moment? You know, it's a good time to kind of,
yeah.
you know, don't really need to worry about traveling so much. But then you know what's going to happen once you're able to travel and go around and everything, you'll be back to trackpad and you'll think, I really wish I had my Wacom.
But yeah, Wacom really helps. Okay, so now that it's roughly there. Cool. I'm gonna change her hair color. I'm gonna create a new layer again. Let's call this black. Again, there's also many reasons why I selected this girl. It's because obviously one is her pose and also her hair and everything. Again, you need to know also how the culture affect the appearance. Usually Chinese girls, young ones, always have a straight hairs. So yeah.
Mm.
So I just changed the color into black. Let's see which works better. I'm trying to change to my overlay and see if that black suits her. Again, it's also important to make sure that the texture of the hair can be seen. As you can see, it's a bit dark here, but I'll try to see if I can. Again, while I'm painting, as you can see, I like to change my size of my cursor so that it can go to the fine areas of her dress.
Mm.
So I'm not using the same brush size all over again.
Is this a technique that you would have been able to do without a Wacom, or like would you attempt this on your trackpad, or no?
Yeah, I would really attempt using trackpad and probably be crying in one corner of the side. Why did I find a very difficult stock image? Okay, let's try other blending. Overlay. That might work. Oh, I kind of like this. Soft light. Color works. Okay, let's go to overlay. And I'm gonna just... Okay, that works. Here, mailing is there. And I am going to now do the edits to the orange and add shadows. So we're gonna go back down to the cliff and then add that shadow. Let's call this shadow for gold. Okay. Again, always remember to change it to soft light and then add the shadow. Again, source of light. Always remember there's if you look at my sketch, there's one coming from the top, and also again she's sitting, even though she's sitting by the cliff, there's actually a village right opposite her at the back. So there will be a bit of light over there. So we're not gonna go so harsh on the shadow. I'm gonna just have a very little shadow close to where she sits. Shadow is super important because if you use a very soft shadow, then it will look like she's floating. So you have to really know how to control the shadow. Again, there's a lot of study you need to do, like in terms of like the correct way of playing with shadows is that you need to literally look at real stills images to know where the light is and all that. Okay, I'm gonna create a new layer very quickly and do the shadow for the basket.
So this is a really good example of why you need to label your layers. If you look at how many Ramesh has already, so many, you could so easily get lost if they're, well, you would be lost, right? If they weren't labeled. It'd be very hard to navigate once you get to this stage.
Especially when, again, if you're working in a company that has a lot of like employees, you better be naming your layers because you don't want to confuse them. Especially when you have emergency leave, you're like, oh, bye guys, I'm gonna go, and then you cause so much trouble for the rest of your team members. You don't do that. So I'm gonna go to the orange and add shadow at the bottom, new layer, press alternate to create new masking, clipping masking, and then call this shadow. Okay, now I'm going to change to soft light. And again, because it's too bright at the bottom, it shouldn't be the way. I'm gonna just do the color adjustment here. And again, the new one, this will be the normal shadow.
Right.
Here is because I really want to have like a darker shade around the orange. So how I'm going to do is again, as you can see, my flow is 60%, which is just fine. And there you go. Like this. Okay, and then okay, that's okay. Again, now I'm trying to achieve the lighting that I was talking about way earlier. I can bring that back again one more time to show you guys. So like this. So this is the reference that I have. I'm trying to achieve this, right? It's slightly darkened, but then the background is much brighter than the foreground. So in order to achieve that, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go right on top of everything, right above of the moonlight as well, create a new layer, and I'm going to drop in a color, which is black.
It's very
Okay,
dark.
this is very dark, exactly. So, but if you change the normal to soft light, you will literally get the effect that I was talking about.
Right.
This is exactly what I picturized in my mind. So you can see it's like the moonlight is still glowing, it's darkened, but there's never a light on top of them, which we're gonna fix. In order to fix that, I'm gonna just again reduce it a bit before I bring in my next stock image, which is the lantern.
The lantern. Okay.
Yep. So this is something that I'm going to do, right? I am going to create a lantern again, back to my artwork, sketches, and then I get to see the Chinese lanterns are all on top. So I think it would be nice to do that. But before I do that, I let the lantern to be there, and I am going to create the string. In order to create the string, I have a few brushes here. I am going to manually create those. Let me see if I can just do the string like this, and then one over here. Okay, maybe I want it to be centered a bit. So again, I'm manually doing this back of my head. Okay, so I'll just duplicate that, and I will transform it into a horizontal so that I get a very perfect line. There you go, like this. So as if it's right, they hang right on top of like a wood panel, maybe on top. Again, try to imagine that, and then have the lantern back into the picture. And in order to remove this, obviously I have to select subject first.
And I'll let everyone know as well, we're about halfway through for our stream today. So if you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to throw them in before we run out of time, because time goes very quick.
Exactly. So I've calculated everything already at the back of my head. I think I can finish this on time, so don't worry. So we have to do a bit of cleaning again. I have to go in here and remove the white patches, because these are like little very fine thread.
Right.
So I need to make sure that I fix that. So
the select subject, it's like it's so fine, it's not getting it perfectly because it's such a fine detail. So you need to manually go back in and fix that somehow. So how are you going to do that?
So in order to fix that, like I said way earlier, this if you don't have select and mask, you're gonna have a tough time. So thank God for this feature. So that's that. I am going to resize it now. See. Okay. Do something small like this. Much smaller. It's okay if it's right on top of the tiger, just like this. And what we're going to do now is that we have to again, I need to duplicate it, right? Obviously. And I need to make sure that I fix the lighting of this lantern first before I duplicate. So I'm gonna just make a group of this, call this lantern. And right above this lantern, I'm gonna duplicate the lantern. I'm gonna just go and multiply. We can see the red is very intense. That's okay. Within this layer on top of the lantern, I'm gonna reduce the color a bit because it's very intense. So in order to do that, I would just bring this up and reduce the saturation. There you go. So that the color somehow, matches the overall thing. Okay, cool. But if you notice, Ramesh, this is at night. Why isn't the color reflecting that? So don't worry. We're going to fix that very soon. I'm going to dim the light of this lantern because there's no light or candle in it. So let's bring the light in. So this is what I have. So you can see it's like a very colorful looking light, but what happened is that if I change this to color dodge, and if I resize this,
Wow, that was just like an abstract kind of shape.
yeah. And then if you put it in, you can see now we have lightened up the candle, the lantern.
Nice.
And again, very important to also study where will the light be and all that. So that again, you want to create a realistic looking lightings. So again, I need to mask again because there's like a white patch around it. Again, that's just masking. So I am going to mask this very quickly, increase the flow, just all around it. Perfect. This is good. There you go. There's a light, and of course, the light has to reflect onto the tiger and all that. We're going to do that very soon. Again, before we do that, we just need to make sure that we group all this together and call this lantern. And I am going to now duplicate this lantern and then move it. I think the background is not really removed yet, so I'm going to do a bit of more edit. There's still a bit of light.
Oh, so this is that image that you put over and did the color dodge on. There's a little bit of kind of extra image that's still there, right?
Yeah. So I'm just changing that, and let's see if it works now. And then now if I bring it over the other side, it should be okay. Oh, the reason why that's happening is because of this. Now I know it. Inside this lantern, there's actually a multiply. And I think that's causing it. It's okay. We'll fix that one shot later. I'll make sure that I create all the lanterns first. And then one here. Here. Okay, and then now if I group them together, I can manage to mask them one shot. I don't have to go one by one.
Okay, so you merge all those groups together, and then they're masked themselves.
Again, it's not even a destructive. I still maintain the lantern, just that I group them together so that I don't. Again, time is essential and super important. I'll make sure that I do this one shot.
Nice.
Bring back this, and then this. Ooh, I'm happy with this. Okay, like I said earlier, the black tint is right at the bottom. I'm going to increase that like this, and time to do edits onto the tiger. Again, if you're wondering why I'm doing this, is so that I can literally color the tiger accordingly. And how do I do that? I go back to the line, it's masking right at the bottom here. I press Control. You can see the tiger is selected, right? I'm going to remove the light from the light that I've created on top. Okay, before I do that, I'll make sure that I mask this. So there's a lot of tricks, right? That you go back down here, you Control click the masking, go back up here, and now what you do is you literally do this. So when you do that, the light pops up more, but the color view will change in a bit. So there's a bit of light here. Okay. And now, in order to change the levels, what you do is you go up here, and you create new color balance, and I would change this into something red. You can see how the color of the tiger now increases into, so the mood is there now. So I'm getting the color that I want, and now I'm going to increase also the same black tint layer. I'm going to just again bring up a bit of the colors of the tiger. It's because the lights is also coming from the front. but not so much. That's the reason why I'm reducing my flow.
And this is the light coming from the village.
Correct. Yeah.
It's interesting having light coming off camera, like where you can't see it. You don't know exactly what the source is, but then it's still impacting the composition.
And here we have this girl. We're gonna go look for the girl stock image, which is this one. I'm gonna go back to the black tint and bring those colors out. Okay, all around, because the light is affecting here, and a bit of light at the back. Okay, I am also going to bring in the light into the basket. So I'm gonna look for the basket here and go back to the black tint and zoom in and bring the light out on top and a bit here. This, so we have that, and then of course the cliff and everything, you also need to do some editing. So I'm going to go back to the cliff here, select the cliff, go back up to the black tint and bring in those light.
Nice.
So it's more embossed, like you can see, like there's like a depth. The background is still dark, but we can see the separation of all here. It's more like a 3D, giving you the gloomy feel. And there's a lot more edit I'm gonna do to the lighting on top here. I am going to dim it slightly using my brightness to the overall of the lantern, but I will add a glow. Just like this. And remove those lines that I have previously. Perfect. And let's see if my color here works. So what I'm going to do is a bit of exploration. I am going to add on a red color. I will color pick from here. Closest that I can get. Okay, that works. Let's see if I can do this. A glow. Okay, I'm gonna bring in that glow right on top here. And that glow, let's see which works fine. Okay, soft light works better. So I'm gonna duplicate that soft light and bring those color everywhere else.
Nice.
Ooh, and now I am going back to the lion and I'm gonna create new layer right on top. I call this red. Okay, why red? Is because I'm gonna increase the color that's reflecting onto the tiger. And I'll color pick, and I'll do a color blending to see which one works better. Color might work better here. So let's decrease the tint and see if we can make it everything look slightly brighter. Cool. So it has to give me the mood that I want. So I am like the reference picture I showed earlier. I am also now going back to the girl and see if I can brighten up the tint. Okay, cool. Okay, and then I am going back to the cliff. Again, this is more like a training in terms of colors. At the back of my head is going all over to see how the red light reflect on the cliff as well. So I'm going to fix that color now. Let's call this red color. and I'm gonna do that. But I'm going to color change it to hard light. Linear light might work. Soft light still the best.
It's amazing, like how many layers it takes to create like all these different shades and light sources and blend modes and everything that is involved, like really granular detail.
There's also many ways where you can actually brighten up like to create separation, which I always do in my manipulation, is that I always go down underneath the background here, and I like to create gradient, like for example, like just a black gradient. So change your color palette under gradient over here. Basic, just choose one like this, and then you choose soft light, but then you just drag it up just like this, soft light. Okay, and then whether bottom or up, so that it increases the visibility of the foreground.
Oh, wow.
Because without it, then it will look more or less the same depth. You know how lenses have like a aperture and all that, so you can create that using this. So there's a bit of like a dark feel at the background. Again, like I said, background is just a supporting stock image. So you want to make sure that the foreground is more visible. If without it, then it looks like a flat surface. So you don't want that.
Oh wow.
I'm getting the mood that I want. This is perfect, and I'm gonna increase the brightness of the tiger. Let me see if I can do that. I go brightness, or maybe levels works better. So I'm going to change levels. Okay, bring it up, and let's see. Yeah, so it create more of the lighting.
And you affecting the whole image, or are you just affecting the foreground?
The tiger only for now.
The tiger only. Okay.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of adjustments can be done. For example, why I'm doing this is because I want the light on the tiger a bit more. So even though it's like this, what I'm going to do now is that I'm gonna just mask the rest. I don't need the rest. So that the glow around the body is still visible. I'm just increasing the overall brightness around it only. There are many ways you can do this. Is also satin, which I like to use a lot. Satin is actually this. If you go to your layer of your tiger, if you click on satin, this will help a lot in terms of shadow. If you go satin, you get this. Settings. There you go. Can you see the shadows over there?
Yeah.
So this satin, how it works is that you can control this. I can even move the shadow where I want it to be.
Oh wow.
So it's basically around it. So you can go satin and then choose I think multiply was like the default settings, and distance and everything. Whether or not you want to adjust it here, you can also adjust it over here. And then you want to reduce the opacity of it, you just control using this. So this is none. There's nothing. So I'm gonna just increase just like this. So it's more embossed. So yeah.
Is that something that you do often, or is that like just a sometimes kind of tool that you'll use, or do you find yourself using that quite a lot?
I use that a lot when it comes to like the lighting, when it comes to backlighting rather than the foreground lighting. So yeah, so it's super important because at times you don't want to spend so much of time touching it up, and because of the satin, it can help you a bit. So yeah.
Nice.
So I'm gonna also reflect that onto the girl. Let's see. There you go, and then I can. Oh, there's also many different style. I think the default is called contour. So if I select different types of contour, I'll get a different reflection. Yeah. So the default one is this, and I can use my cursor to move where I want the shadows to be.
I didn't know you could do that. Wow.
Yeah. So that's that. But for now, the setting I will hide it because I want the light to reflect. Cool. And I am going to now do more of the color tone edits. This is like a manual. So I'm going to group this to G. I call this lights. This is something that I did way before as well in my previous streams. This is something I like to do is that I like to use soft light and use gradient to change the whole color tone, which I think might work for this one. Let's see. Like for example, you can just drop the gradient right on top and then do blending. There you go. So that I get the red tone. So this mood is more different because there's already a red tone on top. This, I can even do different blendings to see which mood that might work for this. Oh, this is so nice. This is hue.
Yeah, wow.
So this is reflecting everywhere else. So if I want it to be just for my subject, I will drag this and put right below it here. Okay, if I do that, then it's only appearing onto my foreground. So it's more reddish. And I am going to now increase the brightness of the tiger because I believe it can be more brighter. There you go. My levels is here. There you go. Perfect. And darken it a bit. Cool. And I am going to do a bit more adjustment onto the cliff. Let's add a bit more shadows around it.
Have a question from chat if you're ready for one.
Yep. Yep.
What edit, big or small, do you think has the greatest impact on the piece?
What is the smallest?
Yeah, out of all the edits, like big edits or small edits, what edit do you think is, has the biggest impact?
Okay. I don't know if this is small, but it's the easier way, which is the color lookup.
Right. Yeah.
The colors is super important because without it, I'm gonna show you guys very quickly. I'm gonna hide only color lookup. Let's see how different does it make. Boom. I hide it one because it's very little color lookup. Boom.
Yeah. Wow. That one makes a huge difference.
It's just one, and I also have another one at the bottom here. Boom. There you go.
Yeah.
You see how fake it looks like? Because even though it's simple, very easy. Like I said, shadows, lights are the most important things. It creates the mood. So you want to make sure that you fix the lighting, and then everything else will look more or less better without it. So yeah. So we are slowly getting there, and I'm going to do a bit of adjustment into the lantern. I think it would be nice to drop a bit of darkness around it. Let's call this soft light. Okay, I'm manually adding the black tint all around there so that it doesn't look so flat.
Wow, it's amazing.
Usually I create a very bright manipulation. Again, taking up challenge is good so that you learn. Don't be afraid to try out. Even though it's a daytime, if you look at stock image, I'm going to just quickly drag also. There you go. The different stock images that we used so far.
Yeah.
This is what, if you combine together, we get this. So never be afraid to try out daytime or whatever time it is so that you learn. Else you'll be in a safe zone. Oh, I am afraid to try out the night one because I don't think so I can. There's no such thing as I can. I can't. Yes, you can. Literally, you don't. I think we shouldn't give excuses at all. So yeah.
Nice. And that's good to show. We've got about 3 or 4 minutes left, just to let you know as well, and let everyone know.
Cool. We're getting there. We are almost done. Yeah. So we can try out a few things here. I'm gonna copy merge everything. Control new. I'm gonna open up new canvas. There are many things that you guys can also create. Oh, let's go back there. Once again, copy merge. Like there's also HDR involved if you guys want to try it, because I think it can be pretty intense. But then I do use it sometimes to bring up all these colors. Let's try out like shadows and highlights. Even though it's pretty intense, what I do is most of the time you have the settings over here underneath. These are super important, right? The amount of shadows that you guys want, what tone that you want to keep, how much radiance that you want. Yeah, it's nice to play with this. And there are times where I do use also this one, HDR toning. It will ask you to flatten the thing. That's the reason why I actually did this. So if you paste
this is why I did copy merged into a new file. Yeah.
So yeah, because it's still safe, right? Your files are all here. You don't have to worry. This is more like a color testing. So you can, if I reduce the opacity right on top, so this is after and before. If you reduce it slightly, you can bring in those colors back. So this is like a final touch up. So you get to see the different colors. So yeah.
Nice. That's something you can play with at the end. Like once you're finished, once you're happy with your composition, you can kind of tweak it and change it and see what kind of works for the final output.
Yeah, because final touch up is the most important thing also, if you ask me, because that is something that you will do before you publish it. So you want to just check everything. So yeah.
Do you ever publish multiple versions with different variations of what you've done, or do you pick this is the one?
I have variations. I will put it up in a different layer and I on off my layers to see which one works better. Yeah. And if I'm satisfied with it, then I will literally publish it. Okay. I think we are right on time.
Right on time. Yeah. Timing's perfect. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. It's amazing how far you've come as well while describing everything you've done. Again, playing Photoshop like a piano, like using every single feature. There's not very many features you didn't really use. I was excited to see the levels come out even towards the end. And obviously lots of adjustments to brightness and contrast and using clipping mask and shadows and highlights. And there's so much in this image. There's so much in this composition to make it kind of pop and make it all work together with this story. So it's been fantastic watching it come together. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to do live. Again, in a way that it also makes me to think faster. That's why I like to put pressure on me. Like I said, yes, on Tuesday, always set a time. I will finish this manipulation in 3 hours.
Yeah.
So when you do that, you literally help the brain to think faster, because without it, then you are just literally refining without knowing whether or not the work is good or not. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's good to have a deadline, good to have a amount of time to get through it and plan for it. That's fantastic. Thanks for hanging out with us. I've just got your Instagram up here as well. You've launched this Tiny Dolls thing, which we could have talked about that for 10 minutes as well, but check it out. So exciting. Like seeing you get into 3D as well. Like you never stop. There's always something new that you're up to. So check it out. Check out Ramesh's Instagram if you're not already following him. And thank you again. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Chat, if you're watching the replay, thanks for checking it out. Let us know if you liked it. And yeah, Ramesh, thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you so much, Flynn, and thank you everybody for joining, and hopefully you get something out of this.
Excellent. Thanks everyone. We'll see you next week for Adobe Live. Bye.